Right, so here we are looking at the future vision framework that I just showed you before, which you can recognize by looking at this column, the very first column right here. Okay, and probably what I can do is, sorry, I need to delete this. Let's see why. Okay, so this chunking down is as follows. You take each of your different categories and everything that you written about them, just like we saw before, and then you see that covers the whole year, isn't it? That's the whole year. We can even let's say label this whole year if we wanted. So this column covers the entire year at one go. And to make things easier for you, to make your mind, the mind feels like steps. Have you ever noticed that? Your mind likes the 10 steps or the 3 steps or directions, or how do I get from here to there? Follow this map. It likes that kind of thing. It really thrives on it. Once you give the mind some kind of milestones, it really does so well in achieving them. Like if you tell it, you need to go 10 miles that way, and then turn left and travel for another 40 minutes, and then turn right. It really loves that stuff, yeah, and then it makes it happen. So these are the kind of milestones that we're talking about, yeah. So for each of your category, you kind of want to break it down into some kind of milestones. Now I use time-based milestones. You might want to use anything, event-based, task-based milestones, up to you, but I prefer time. And when I say time, I mean I break up the year into chunks. For example, I can say the beginning of the year is the first 4 months, the middle of the year is the next 4 months, and then the end of the year are the final 4 months. Or you might even want to break it down into quarters, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 of the year. Then, that translates it into 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. Up to you. But anyways, you feel this in, and you sort of ask yourself, okay, I already know what I want for the full year, or how the full year will end up be like. Or actually, because we're talking about future vision as a memory, the best way to think about it is, I already know how the year has been. It's been a great year, and the way it evolved was, at the beginning of the year this happened, and then as we went on, by the middle of the year this other thing happened, and then by the time we're closing the year this other thing happened, and hence now I'm looking back super grateful. Wow, it's been such a good journey. And then you take another category and you do the same. Okay, and let's say, like, for example, you take the travel. My travel has been, or was, extremely exciting over the last year. I went to XYZ places, and it was whatever and all that. And the way it started is, at the beginning of the year this happened, in the middle of the year this happened, and then at the end this happened. You see? So you're sort of giving it a kind of framework. Now let's look at just one simple example to drive the point home. Okay? And by the way, you can use whatever tools you want. I'm just using a spreadsheet here. You can use whatever you want, right? That works for you. So this is an example from my future vision. This is the health and fitness category. And I don't think, let's just sort of read through it very briefly. Over here you got the whole year, right? I'm talking about working out, the kind of foods that I'm into, the kind of sports and activities, like from scuba and golf and biking and walking. I like walking and swimming. I love it, actually. Kite surfing is something that I haven't yet started, you see. So the gym as well is something that I sort of get in and out of it every now and then. So and then of course there's a relationship and the space and the environment to support all that, okay, and the rhythm. So that's how I wrote down my year as a memory, my future vision as a memory. And then this is how I broke it down. In this particular example, I've chunked it down into quarters. Now remember, I wrote mine in September, yeah, September the 1st of 2014, the one that I'm using in these examples. So that's why the year starts sort of in September. So 3 months, September to November, then December to February. You get the picture. Now, for the first quarter, I just said here, I started going to the gym 5 times a week with my trainer, followed by swimming. I also really started to thoroughly enjoy my beach walks. And then By this time, December was coming in. I enjoyed the December holidays by learning how to kite surf then. And I enjoyed going diving with friends in Wasini. That's a very nice dive spot, sort of south of Mombasa here in Kenya. And so on, you see. And then March to May, I've got this is quite interesting. I found people who helped me switch to an 80% living food diet, because the problem I have right now is this, the challenge rather. I know I desire a living food diet, but to be honest, I don't feel confident about the skills that I need to prepare such. So I'm looking for help in this. And here in Mombasa, in Kenya, I simply can't find it. Maybe it's not meant to be this place or whatever, but it's a whole bunch of things. It's like the culture here is very much for cooked food, so you don't really get the health food outlets and people who know how to do it and all that. And I prefer to learn live with somebody, or to have somebody help me, rather than just try and learn off the web or the internet or something. Okay, so that's why I'm writing here. I found people who helped me, and the reason why I flew that here in March to May, because that's sort of roughly when this joins in with the other move. Remember, I was talking about moving Kenya to Australia previously in the other videos before this. So roundabout here is a time when I plan to have been into Australia, or at least start, moving back and forth between Kenya and Australia, because I still have business here in Kenya. So it's a thing that will have to be coordinated well. But in any case, that's why I put that in here. And if you look at this last column, I've already shifted from, you see over here we're talking about my beach walks in Mombasa and going scuba diving in Wasini, which is also here in Kenya. But over here it's already shifted to the new country that I'm looking at, you see. So in a way it sort of joins in with the other previous visions in terms of where I'm living and all that. Okay, so over here you see we're talking about the Great Barrier Reef and Queensland and all that. So as you can see, it makes the whole process real to the mind. Okay, it gives the mind a story or a sequence that sort of makes sense according to the current beliefs of that person at the time when this thing is being done. Okay, now when I wrote this in September of this year 2014, I was of the belief that by March I would have effected my move, okay, from Kenya to Australia, right? You see, or at least I'll have started, because it's a gradual process. Like I mentioned, I've got going concerns here in Kenya as well, so it's not just like pack your bags and go permanently. It's a in and out kind of gradual process. But in any case, it is part of my belief system at the moment that this is when it will happen. And so even this whole 1 year thing has sort of been placed in sequence in a way, okay? And this sequence starts to give my mind a story. And remember, the other visions, this is for the health and fitness, the other ones are also being adjusted according to the bigger grand picture. So this sort of gives you work for your mind to be chewing on. You see what I mean? And the mind loves that. It likes to, if the mind is going to be thinking anyways, if you can't seem to silence it, might as well give it something directional and constructive to think about. You see what I mean? It's so much more effective to me than simply writing goal statements like, I am eating fresh foods, I am now shaped, I am now doing a lot of scuba and golf. You see? This sort of is the same thing plus more. It gives it sequence, it gives it story, it gives it visuals, it gives a video, you see. So I think that kind of concludes the whole chunking down. Once again, there is no formula. I can't tell you this is exactly how to chunk down. It's so fluid. It totally depends upon you. Just know that what you need to do is figure out milestones that make sense to you. And remember, you can always change these milestones as your beliefs change. Maybe right now, in fact, I believe that right now there are things I've done here that I'm limiting myself with, but I can't see them right now. But as things move, I'll start to free myself from my own limiting beliefs in certain ways. You see? Like, for example, when I just said in Mombasa, Kenya, I can't seem to find somebody to help me with the living foods diet. Maybe that's just a limiting belief, but I've sort of convinced myself about that. And maybe over by the time we hit December, maybe I'll have seen things differently, so I can sort of change my milestones again. But I get, you see the picture. Yeah? It's a living, breathing process, and it really makes things alive. So I hope you've got that. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching that.